Hello everyone, and welcome back to Skyrim, but I'm just a normal guy, part 3. After enjoying a bit of the cool Skyrim morning, I decided to chop some wood for the local inn in order to make a little bit of gold.
Honest gold for honest work.
Closer to midday, I left the city and went out hunting. While out hunting, I came across a wolf which quickly turned into an entire pack attacking me all at once. I only narrowly escaped with my life intact. Shortly after, I ran into what I at first thought was another wolf, but then realized was actually a stray dog. I went up to him and realized that he wanted to follow me, and decided that I would be happy to have his company. I continued my hunt, and caught some butterflies along the way. I found many elk and deer along the way, much of which would be turned into pelts. I ran into a few more wolves as well, and then some vigilants of Stendar who were patrolling the roads that I stopped for a short chat.
Yes, our order was founded after... We're quartered in the Hall of the Vigilant. Keeper Karset heads Skyrim's branch of our order there, providing healing and justice as needed. The Vigil will be watching you.
I left these heroes to their business and went on my normal duties. I found a large group of mud crabs all surrounded around the giant corpse of the biggest mud crab I had ever seen. After that, I was very tired, so I began to set up camp. In order to stay warm, I also set up a fire. Cooked up some of the venison from the many deer that I had killed, and made sure to make the fire last long and hot while I slept. The next morning, I woke up to a cool, foggy morning. Fire still burning. I put it out, cleaned up my belongings, and packed up my tent. After that, I continued my hunt. After a very successful hunting trip, I began to return to Whiterun. I turned all of the fur pelts that I had collected out there into fur cloaks and sold them to Belethor. I also turned the many potion ingredients that I found along the way into potions and sold them to Arcadia. Then I went back to chopping some good old-fashioned wood for the fires in the inn.
Honest gold for honest work.
After making what money I could, I left Whiterun and began the arduous journey to Falkreath. I went along the road, up towards Riverwood, then past Riverwood, and ran into a few wolves along the way. Finally, I arrived in Falkreath, late in the afternoon. I went in to speak to the Jarl.
Yes, what is it that you want? Work? I demand tribute before you can be considered for any real tasks. How about drink? None of that local piss. Real Blackbriar mead, fresh from Riften. You better. I hate people who waste my time.
Lucky for me, I was able to buy some Blackbriar mead from the local inn rather than
Now
going all the way
that's
to
what I like to
Riften.
see. Someone who gets things done. Here, a little something for you. You've proven reliable. There's a group of bandits in my hold that I may have had a few discreet dealings with. The cut they were giving me was good at first, but now it's time to clean things up. Go and take care of it. Good.
And with that, a great quest stood in the way of me buying the property that I would like to build my house on. Unfortunately, I am no great adventurer, so I will need to find the help of a real hero if I am to clear this mine of bandits. As the evening grew older, I began my return trip to Whiterun. I considered stopping in Riverwood to stay the night in the inn, but decided to make the trek all the way back to Whiterun to try and make it back to see my wife. As I got back, I decided to chop just a little bit more wood to sell to the inn to make a little more gold before bed.
Honest gold for honest work.
Unfortunately, when I made it back home, Isolde was nowhere to be found. However, when I awoke, Isolde was there, showing that she had somehow shown up even later than I did back home.
Here, this is fresh. I'll have another meal ready.
She was
tomorrow.
kind enough to cook breakfast for me, and I headed out for the day. Despite the rainy weather, I began this day the same that I begin most days, by chopping some more wood for the inn. After going inside and selling the wood to Hulda, I also decided to ask a favor of Uthgerd, who I got into a bar fight with in the previous episode. I figured that she was a brave adventurer and might be able to help me on the quest that I need to buy my land. As I was on my way out of the city, I sold everything I could to the Khajiit caravan. On the way to the mine, I did some more hunting as per usual. Just outside the mine, I ran into a mysterious ring of mushrooms, as if they had been planted there on purpose. I decided to collect as many of them as I could, as I figured they'd come in handy later for potions. Finally, we had arrived at the mine. The first enemy came charging out, and I ran behind Uthgerd so she could take care of it. She dealt with him handily. I was able to stealthily kill one of them from a distance with my bow. My faithful companion dealt with the last guard out front of the mine. I began sneaking through the mine, searching for the bandit chief. We found him, and Uthgerd engaged in a duel while I watched the brave warriors fight. Uthgerd won, and with that, I could return to the Jarl of Falkreath and purchase property in the hold. I began my journey back to Falkreath. and returned to the Jarl to tell him the good news.
Useful as around. Teach them to stop paying me. Here. You know what? I like you. I hereby grant you permission to purchase property in Falkreath Hold. Talk to my steward if you're interested. Come and see me again sometime.
I didn't quite have enough gold to purchase the property yet, so I returned to Whiterun. When I arrived home late, once again, Isolde was still not there. However, once again, when I awoke, Isolde had arrived somehow later in the evening than I did.
About the same as everyone
I'm not
else.
sure what she's doing up so late, but either way, I was happy to see her and had a conversation with her in the morning before going off for the rest of my day.
Nothing like Skyrim. It's got tropical forests and dusty badlands. It sounds awful. Yeah, these Khajiit make a living traveling the roads and selling their wares. It's got to be tough. Skyrim's a hard enough land when you've got a roof over your head. Worst thing is, nobody wants them in the cities. Nobody trusts them. Matter of fact, I do. They've been fair enough with me, far as I can tell. And Denord knows a liar when she sees one. Goodbye, my love.
Once again, I began my morning by chopping wood and selling it to Hulda at the inn. Next, I began mixing my ingredients to make as many potions as possible, including all of those mushrooms that I found earlier, and sold them at Belethor's nearby shop. After a productive morning, I head out for the day. While I was out, I ran into a couple of kind individuals who offered me a bottle of mead to drink with them. I, of course, happily obliged.
Enjoying this fine day. Ah, but you look tired. Come, share a bottle of honey brew mead with me. Cheers, my friend. May your adventures find you fame and fortune.
I hunted a few more animals as I continued along the path and picked up whatever ingredients I could find. While traveling, I came across the Half Moon Mill, which will come in handy later when I need to buy lumber for my home. While continuing down the road, I ran into two farmers who were refugees, claiming that their farm had been destroyed by a dragon. That seemed like a problem for a real adventurer, but I figured I'd spare them some gold.
Be safe, and don't forget to keep an eye on the sky.
Sid Gear can sometimes act.
Finally, I returned to Falkreath with enough money to purchase the plot of land.
There's no house available, but I could sell you a fine piece of land where you won't regret it. Follow the road east from Falkreath, then north at the crossroads. Turn left just past Pine Watch.
All of my work was beginning to pay off as I arrived in the plot of land in which my house would soon sit. I got to work immediately, taking stock of the materials that I had and mining some more stone so that I could build the foundation of my home. I laid out the plans and began work immediately. Before long, the exterior of a small house had been completed, though there was nothing on the inside yet. I also created a small pen for animals and a place to set up a farm. I decided to plant some crops so that they could begin growing immediately. I found some iron nearby as I was going to need plenty of that in the process of building my home. I then returned to the lumber mill that I had passed earlier and bought some lumber from Hurt. Something seemed a bit off about her, but I just couldn't quite put my finger on it. Maybe something about those
surround the
eyes.
home, and without our wood, they
Either
wouldn't
way,
travel
she
through
sold me the
prices
lumber
now.
and seemed kind enough, so I bought it and went on my way.
We have guests as often as we can, but there aren't a lot of travelers these days. The war keeps people off the roads. Doing some building, eh? We can deliver it wherever you need. I'll have them hauled over right away.
I was too far out in the wilderness to return to Whiterun tonight, so I decided to set up camp. I put out my tent and quickly made a fire. I sat down by the fire and enjoyed the cool evening with my dog. After a while, I eventually went to sleep. When I awoke the next morning, I quickly packed up camp so that I could get back to work. I came across an iron ore vein, which I was able to get a little bit of iron from, which I desperately need to continue building my house. Unfortunately, I could not find enough iron out in the wild, so I went into Riverwood to buy some from the local blacksmith.
Whatever you need. Looking to protect yourself or deal some damage?
It's going bad. We need
While in town, I also crafted some potions with the ingredients I had collected.
Did you hear me?
Yep, ale's going bad.
I guess you don't have potatoes in your ears after all. Just make sure we get a fresh batch in soon.
Come on in. Just stoke the fire. Take a seat and get the cold out.
And then headed back to the homestead. Before long, all those new materials I had collected turned into the exterior of the main hall. I then returned to Falkreath so that I could sell what I had and buy the rest of the materials I need to continue building the house.
Here for work.
Finally, I returned to Hurt in order to buy some more lumber with the gold I had just earned selling things in Falkreath.
I'll have them hauled over right away.
And with the purchasing of that lumber, we will end part 3 of Skyrim, but I'm just a normal guy. If you enjoyed this video, please consider leaving a like or a comment. And if you'd like to see more of my content, please consider subscribing to the channel so you can stay notified when I post new videos. Thanks and goodbye.